Hi everyone and welcome to this new video. 2 new tools to improve the poultice and a miraculous discovery. That's what this video will be about. I'll start with a discovery, namely the Liebscher Bracht method. Roland Liebscher and Liebscher Bracht, 2 Germans, husband and wife, are pain specialists with over 30 years of experience. Together they developed a treatment and even a self-treatment technique of pain and osteoarthritis which gives instantaneous results. Their findings regarding joint pain are diametrically opposed to the positions of conventional medicine. I just read their book with the eloquent title, The Arthritis Lie. As we can guess, no, osteoarthritis is not due to joint wear and tear. No, osteoarthritis is not irreversible. Yes, the cartilage regenerates. And most important, the pain associated with osteoarthritis does not come from worn joints, but muscle and fascia. And I must underscore here the innovative aspect. And this is due to our way of life, especially our sitting position and our diet. Actually, they can be seen as modern knives and Salmanovs. While Knife and Salmanov clean the inside of the body with water, Liebscher Bracht do some sort of dry cleaning inside. I found them while I was looking for a solution for the discomfort I was having in my groin, in the hip area. And of course I wanted a more comfortable solution than poultices or many Salmanov butts. As I saw a lot of positive feedback and also videos of women who could hardly walk and who, after a 45-minute treatment session, were back on their feet, I started doing exercises, and they convinced me so much that I already bought some tools, balls and rolls. So Liebscher explains what's wrong with our sitting position. It shortens the hip flexor muscle, and this has a bad series of consequences. When we stand up, the body is pulled forward, and the muscles behind have to work a lot more to straighten us. This creates a growing tension between the front and rear muscles, which end up affecting the joint. It retracts, certain areas are not used and deteriorate, other areas are overused and worn out. You'll find a link to a video below where he explains it all in detail. The title is Avoid Hip Surgery. It is a must, because it's valid for all the joints. In addition, the fascias, a kind of fibrous tissue which surrounds the muscles and the organs, become more rigid and more fragile. As Liebscher says, we end up being like in a sweater that has shrunk and hinders all our movements. Finally, as we do not use all the angles of our joints, in fact only 5 to 10%, this aggravates also the situation of underload and overload due to uneven solicitation. As I said, this is valid for all the other joints too. Another example regarding the fingers, he cites a new phenomenon, namely the SMS thumb. Liebscher writes, page 222, It is true that the pressure of a few grams is enough to press the key. But if we add it all up, we find that in 4 weeks we have moved weights of the order of several tons. So no wonder 1,000 finger joint troubles occur. So this gives an idea of how modern life damages our joints. But we will now see what our food does to the joints. Liebscher insists on the damage caused by animal protein, but also by sugar, and he strongly advises a plant-based diet. We'll see now why. On page 54, he writes, "To make things worse, from a certain level of acidosis linked to stress and poor diet, particularly excessive consumption of animal proteins, the body crystallizes the acids to keep the intracellular fluid as basic as possible. These crystals also accumulate in the cartilage of the joints, which of course amplifies the wear linked to abrasion, in other words, osteoarthritis." On page 72, he writes on the devastating consequences of proteins on the nutritional intake of the joint. In the joint capsule, the accumulation of proteins studied by Professor Wandt can sometimes totally obstruct the synovial membrane. Nutrients can no longer diffuse in sufficient quantity inside the capsule, and the waste is difficult to eliminate. Of course, this greatly hinders attempts to repair the cartilage. In other words, a thin membrane is the only entry of food. If it's obstructed, it means famine for the cartilage. And this explains also the build-up, the accumulation of waste around the joint. And Liebscher will clean up the areas around the joints just like Kneip and Salmanov did, but with other means. Page 62. With regard to the sugar, he writes, "Fascia research has shown that sugar literally caramelizes our connective tissue, making it stiff and brittle, unable to stretch smoothly and prone to tearing." Finally, proteins and sugar cause acidosis and inflammation, thicken body fluids, the intracellular fluids, which makes the elimination of waste very difficult. So we have very thick fluids in our body because of our food. And now let's see what the Liebscher Bracht method consists of. In 3 words: stretching, rolling and pressing. They speak of osteopressure. So on the one hand, stretching exercises, and on the other hand, tools such as balls and rollers and presses, and many others, because it treats all the joints from head to toe. The first objective is to thin thick intracellular fluids and clean the areas around the joints with massages and or with what they call osteopressure. It is literally by pressing on sensitive spots that the pain is eliminated. We go into the pain, press very hard, and this takes the pain away. And we thus also prepare for the exercisers, and whose postures must be maintained for 2 minutes 30. This is because the fascias only move after a certain time, and it's therefore a question of softening them in this way and making them longer, as well as the muscles and the joint cavity itself too. And this will also entail a better solicitation of the joint and finally regenerate the cartilage. Again, the results are surprisingly fast, but you have to do the exercises daily for the rest of your life unless you change your lifestyle. Now we take a look at the two help tools. First of all, a hot finger pack. Moves roll on pack finger. A pack that you can heat up and use to surround the poultice to keep it longer hot. But remember that because of the plastic, evaporation is hindered, and so you should make sure to alternate with an absorbent poultice or bath. Now, what's even more interesting is this bandage that's in with the package. As you know, my bandage was not perfect because it was tighter below than above near to the nail, and I used elastics and insisted a band would have been much better. I insisted on this because it were the spots where the elastics were that healed first. So well, I now have found some good band, and that's the second help tool. So this Hansaplast finger cohesive or adhesive. This plaster adheres only to itself, and even then you can still easily remove it. So it can be used to make nice poultices, evenly tinted below and above. I think this may be very helpful for those who will now begin to make poultices. Well, I invite you to watch, of course, all the videos below. Some are in French, some are in English. The reason is all the Liebscher Bracht videos are not yet translated. So make sure you watch the French too, because the hand and finger and wrist videos are in French. But you can auto-translate in English. Another good news for those who would like to have a coach, well, it is possible at Liebscher Bracht to get coached. I don't know if he does it himself. I think he does it himself, but there are other coaches too. You might take a look in your country. There are Liebscher Bracht therapeutes a bit in other countries. They're famous in Germany, Switzerland and Austria, but there are Liebscher Bracht therapeutes also in other countries. I think also there is a lot of feedback on their side. So people share their experience because they are very, very glad with this method. It helps a lot. I couldn't live anymore without my daily exercises. Well, I think you are now equipped to treat successfully your osteoarthritis, and I wish you a very happy and successful new year. Thank you so much for watching, and till the next video. Bye bye!